Hey guys, today we're going to explore a very dark place. It's never quiet inside the mine, even after the shift's over. No, there's always something, the splash of dripping water, the groaning of the rocks, and a distant muffled knocking. The miners tense up when they hear it. They know it spells trouble. Deep underground, something crawls inside the abandoned shafts and galleries. Look around and you'll find the traces they left behind. Crackled bones, sucked clean of marrow, and chalk drawings as crude as they are unsettling. These creatures are called kobolds. Their huge eyes are perfect for seeing in the dark, and their long, wiry limbs ideally adapted for squeezing through narrow passages. The curved claws made for digging as well as killing. These are not the cute, mischievous helpers from old German fireside tales. These are kobolds born from the collapse of tunnels and perhaps of man's sanity. Welcome to another lore video for the Blood of Dawnwalker. Today we descend into the dark with the kobolds to explore what they are, what they mean, and why this reimagining might tell us more about humanity than folklore ever did. Let's start talking. In the Blood of Dawnwalker, kobolds are subterranean predators, pale, bony creatures with wiry limbs, curved claws, and enormous luminous eyes. They lurk in abandoned tunnels following the scent of men who dig too deep. But this interpretation of the kobold is far removed from its original myth. In Germanic folklore, kobolds were household spirits, caretakers and tricksters, but not killers. They swept the floor, fetched water, and whispered warnings to those who respected them. But insult them, and they would curdle your milk or hide your tools. They weren't evil. That's what's important. They were just the reflections of human temperament, ambivalent, emotional, and unpredictable. The word kobold itself comes from a fascinating linguistic tangle. Scholars trace it back to the Old High German Kuberwalder, meaning the one who rules the house. Others connected it to the Greek kabalos, meaning joker or trickster. Either way, these were beings of domestic chaos, spirits of everyday life and emotion. Yet over centuries, the kobold tribe grew. Some people began using the same name, kobold, for the spirits haunting different places, including the mine tunnels. But why did it happen? Long story short, we should blame Jacob Grimm, one of the famous Grimm brothers. Originally, kobolds in Germanic folklore were household spirits, as I said, helpful but mischievous beings tied to domestic life. Meanwhile, Kobold referred to mine spirits, entities of the underground, blamed for accidents, strange noises, and bad ore. Where the confusion began? Well, Jacob Grimm, instead of treating kobolds and kobolds as separate entities, presented kobold as a nebenform or a side form of kobold in his dictionary. That classification effectively merged the household kobold with the mine spirits, setting the precedent for later writers to treat both as one and the same kind of being, only appearing in different environments. Thus, the home spirit became a mine spirit as well. Grimm's interpretation is what conflated the two traditions. Later scholars and fantasy writers inherited his merged vision, which is why today kobolds are often shown as cave dwellers rather than domestic spirits wearing cute hats. Therefore, the house, once warm and safe, turned into a labyrinth of echoing stone. What happened in myth mirrors what happened in human psyche, where warmth was replaced by cold and light was replaced by fear. It fits the Dawnwalker world beautifully, to be honest. Modern fantasy reinterpreted the kobold once more, turning it into a small, lizard-like or dog-like humanoid dwelling underground. From Dungeons & Dragons to World of Warcraft, these creatures became cannon fodder and scavengers, somewhat of symbols of cowardice, servility, or nuisance. A far cry from the sacred trickster of the pre-Christian Europe, if you ask me. And yet, the Blood of Dawnwalker's depiction does something different. It doesn't glorify the kobold, nor does it make it comical. It strips it back to something primal, a lean, feral remnant of humanity. This kobold is not a goblin nor a gremlin, it's its own species and honestly looks like a child miner who never came back up. Its claws made for digging, for survival, and also become tools for killing. Its eyes, once adjusting to the dark, now belong to the dark, and its drawings on the wall are said to be simple, which some might consider childish. If we look at the design in this concept art, we see that creature is hunched, its back curved as though centuries of weight pressed down on it. The limbs are impossibly long, exaggerated for crawling through tunnels, too tight for any man. The skin is taut, waxy, with hues of ochre and clay, blending seamlessly into the underground, which helps them a lot to hide. The skull mask, a predator's trophy or a reminder of what it once was. The design feels both evolutionary and spiritual, as if nature and hunt sculpted it together. On the left side of the concept, we see progression from sketch to form to full rendering. The creature's transformation mirrors the process of myth distortion itself. What began as a faint shadow in folklore becomes flesh and bone in the artist world. Psychologically, kobolds are the voices that echo after the noise stops. They are manifestations of our guilt, the haunting presence of what was buried but not forgotten. Having a childlike monster is a great move, and here's why. Many families used to take kids as young as 6 to the mines to earn more money. Sometimes the whole family could work in the dark, and children would get lost if they disobeyed their parents. Typically, a child had a simple job of opening gates to let the adults pass with a crate full of coal or ore. However, naughty children would run away. Imagine a terrified parent trying to find their youngest in the darkness of the mine. Every echo and knock would keep you alert, while your guilt drive you deeper into the tunnels. Yes, the old household kobolds represented a man's relationship with his home by showing the domestic control and comfort. The modern kobold of Dawnwalker represents his relationship with the unconscious, with everything buried deep. It could represent the return of the repressed, knocking from below. The miner's fear of hearing distant knocking could also symbolize intrusive thoughts, which are signs of an approaching breakdown. The chalk drawings left behind in the tunnels are a fun way to resemble the primitive need to make sense of horror. And so, the Blood of Dawnwalker reframes the kobold not as a simple enemy, but as a mirror of humanity's descent into its own subconscious. They live beneath the world because that's where we keep what we refuse to face. Alright guys, let's start the discussion. I have a lot of thoughts and surprisingly they are not connected to each other in terms of one meaning. I would say that kobolds can represent many things and therefore they could be anything really. So do you think that kobolds fit the Dawnwalker universe well? I see how having the mine spirits is important due to Cohen's background and his character arc, as he used to work in the mines himself. Watch the video with the character analysis if you haven't already, please. So, kobolds create another layer of the world where Cohen grew up, and we are lucky to visit this realm with him. However, I wonder if twisting the trickster nature into a murderous monster will make this layer significant. They could become just annoying mobs that have little intelligence in their primal nature, but tell me what you think about kobolds. I'd like to see them as meaningful creatures, honestly. When the mine falls silent again, it's not because the kobolds are gone. What if they are listening? What if they have their little communities? Perhaps they were never monsters after all. Maybe they are the echoes of those who went too deep and never came back to the light. Thanks for watching. As you can hear, my voice is still recovering after COVID I had in September. But if you enjoyed this descent into the dark lore of the Blood of Dawnwalker, leave a comment and subscribe for more Dawnwalker content. This kind of light helps others find their way to this channel. Have fun, play video games, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!